All right, let's get right into it. A burst pipe, a leaky roof, that moment of panic when you find water where it shouldn't be, it's totally chaotic. I get it. But what if you knew exactly what to do? Today, we're going to turn that chaos into a clear step-by-step plan. We're going to demystify this whole process so you can take control when disaster strikes. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at what water damage actually is. Then we'll talk about why you have to act fast. The clock is ticking. After that, we'll cover the 3-step playbook the pros use. We'll even get into the different types of water damage. And finally, we'll wrap up with the big one, restoration and dealing with insurance. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the anatomy of water damage. Because, and this is so important, that little puddle you see on the floor, that is almost always just the tip of a much, much bigger iceberg. So it makes you wonder, right? Where does all this water actually come from? And the answer, well, it's not always the big dramatic storm you see on the news. A lot of the time, it's something much quieter. I mean, look at this list. Of course, you've got the huge events like hurricanes, but then you have these silent culprits, a water heater that finally gives out, a washing machine hose that splits, or even just a clogged AC line dripping away in your attic. These are the things that can dump insane amounts of water into your house, and you might not even know it's happening at first. And here's a factor that most people don't think about. Your local environment is like pouring gasoline on a fire. Take a place like Webster, Texas. The humidity there is over 75% pretty much year-round. So when water gets into a house there, the air is already so saturated with moisture that things have zero chance of drying out on their own. It becomes the perfect breeding ground for trouble. And that leads us perfectly into Section 2. The clock starts ticking. Because I'm not kidding, from the moment that water shows up, you are in a race against time. And what happens in the next couple of days is absolutely critical. This is the number you have to remember. 48 hours. That's it. In a humid place, that's the scientific window before mold spores, which are literally everywhere in the air, land on that wet surface and start to grow. After 48 hours, it's no longer just a water problem, it's officially a mold problem. And check out how fast things go downhill. Within minutes, the water is spreading, soaking into carpets, and getting under your floors. A few hours later, drywall's getting mushy, and your beautiful wood floors are starting to warp. And boom, there it is, that 24 to 48 hour mark where mold starts its own little colony. You wait days or weeks, now you're talking about real structural damage. Seriously, speed is everything. Which brings us to Section 3, the pro response. This is all about how the experts come in and turn that spiraling chaos into a calm, controlled process. This isn't just making it up as you go, there's a real science to it. It all boils down to this 3-step playbook. Step 1 is just pure emergency response. Get the standing water out now. Step 2 is the really cool part, structural drying. This is where they use specialized gear to pull moisture out of everything, the walls, the floors, the air. And finally, step 3 is verification. They use meters to prove scientifically that everything is back to its normal dry state. And they don't do this with a couple of box fans from the hardware store. Look at this gear. We're talking massive dehumidifiers and high-speed air movers, but the real game changer is the tech. They use things like thermal imaging cameras. They can literally see moisture that's hidden inside a wall, which is something your eyes would totally miss. That's how you stop mold from growing where you can't see it. Okay, on to Section 4. Let's decode the damage and contamination. Because here's something the pros know that most of us don't. Not all water is the same. The source of the water changes everything. And who came up with these rules? It's this group, the IICRC. Just think of them as the organization that writes the official playbook for the entire restoration industry. They set the standards that all the certified pros follow. And a huge part of that playbook is this classification system. Category 1 is clean water, say, from a broken water supply line, low risk. Category 2 is what they call gray water, maybe from a busted dishwasher. It's got some bacteria in it. But Category 3, that's black water. Think sewage backup or river flooding. It's full of nasty pathogens. Which category you have dictates the entire cleanup, from the safety gear they wear to what can actually be saved. All right, we've made it to our last section, restoration and your insurance. This is about putting your house back together and figuring out how to handle the money side of things, which, let's be honest, can be super confusing. First things first, let's clear this up. You'll hear 2 words, mitigation and restoration. They are not the same thing. Mitigation is the emergency first aid.
It's stopping the bleeding, getting the water out, and drying everything. Restoration comes next. That's the actual rebuilding. You know, the repairs, the painting, putting in new floors to make it look like it never even happened.
So who pays for all this? Well, with insurance, the key phrase is sudden and accidental. That burst pipe, usually covered. A slow leak you ignored for 6 months? Probably not. And here's the big one. Regular homeowners insurance almost never covers flooding from the outside, like from a storm. You need a separate flood policy for that. That's why having tons of photos and professional moisture readings is so important. It's the proof your insurance company needs.
So you've been through it all. The emergency is over, the house is completely dry, and the pros have done their job. So now what? What's the big takeaway from all of this?
It really all comes down to this simple idea. Dealing with this stuff quickly and professionally isn't just another bill to pay. It's an investment. You're investing in your family's health by preventing mold. You're investing in your home's structure. And you're investing in its resale value. It's about making a smart choice today to avoid a way bigger, more expensive disaster tomorrow.